Hello all and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be bringing you a run through of Carnegie. We've got the designer here, the artist, and it's brought to us by these guys here. Now this is a heavier complexity game, folks. It says 1 to 4 players, so there is that solo option as well. 120 minutes, good luck if you're going to squeeze it in that time. I think it's slightly more, up to say 3 hours. And in this one we are taking on the role of sort of entrepreneurs. We are developing our organizations. This is our physical organization here. You'll be recruiting employees, you'll be building transport networks across the United States here, building your infrastructure. You will be doing a host of business activities, including producing goods and all that type of stuff. Now this game is just myself as usual. I'll be playing a 2-player setup, so a few differences on the board here. And if you're after an overview, check out the video I brought you guys last week. Okay, so a little bit of setup in a 2-player game. We've got a few more neutral players discs on the board to prevent us from going to these locations. And we've got a few more up here preventing us from donating and being more of a benefactor to certain goals there. And the game is really about generating, the most cash, the most produce of goods, in the hope of attaining the most victory points at the end, which you can attain from these various spots here. So if you, in a 2-player game, we don't actually have one of these multi-use tokens, so ignore that one. But normally if you have that token left, you get 3 points. You're going to get a point for each employee in your organization that's standing up. Points for having built on certain rows and columns, so 2 points for these here, you can see slightly there, and 3 victory points for the top, having built parts of your organization, department should I say. You get points for having increased these on the side, points for building your network across, and you can see at the top here, if you manage to connect all these 5 big cities up and you've developed your transport areas to the green train, you're going to get 36 points potentially. You're also going to get points for having built in these towns and cities. You can see on the board a host of points there, and eventually you will get points for the hard donations you've input to the infrastructure of the nation. And there's a host of things up here you'll score points on up to a maximum of 12. Just reminds you there, but you have to pay some hard dollar to contribute to those. So in terms of how the game flows, then you've got this handy reference guide here, and the first thing we are doing, well, in terms of setup as well, there was a little bit of setup of, you've got 10 employees to begin with, 1 on each department, and then you have 5 in your lobby, and you have a chance of moving up to 6 spaces, so you can't move diagonal, you can move orthogonal. So we've done all that placement. You then pay to activate them, so when they're lying down they are training, and you pay the cost below. So some departments like this one here don't have a cost. This one here is $5, so we've already paid that. You would have started with 12 money and 4 cubes, so we've spent some money already, which is why we've got different amounts of money, and they've gone to slightly different locations. You will also choose one of your housing projects. So you can see we're missing a token here. That's been put on the board. So the blue players started off on New Orleans, and you can see the matching icon for housing, and yellow have gone over here to San Fran on that housing spot there. And you will also pick one of these tiles, and I can't quite fit everything in the board. There is actually a victory point track going around the side. I've had to kind of cover it up just to get everything in. We've got a host of money here in cubes, and we've got all these various departments. Now on the back of this reference guide, it kind of tells you, 2-player game, you will not have this multi-use this token here, which is handy in a 3-4-player game. In a 4-player game everyone will get it, 3-player game only the last player. In a 2-player game we are removing randomly 16 of these, so they would have been shuffled and removed, and we're also placing 18 neutral discs, and you use the solo deck to kind of distribute those. It gives you some names. So this is a really good guide, and it goes through the rounds. So these are some of the departments we will potentially be able to acquire and add to our organization, and I'll go through a few of them shortly. This here is the sort of time track of the 20 rounds, and we'll have a good chance to show you how that works. So the first thing a player does then, so let's say yellows are first, they've got this fancy looking train here. They are going to get to place this cog on one of these 4 spots available. So you've got 4 actions that you can you can choose from. The top one is human resources. That's all about kind of the movement, and that icon will match certain departments on your organization. And as you acquire more of these, depending on what you get, if you go for more HR, you'll have more stuff to do when this particular action comes around. At the moment, we've only got the one HR symbol, which means we'd activate that, and I'll go through what that does. We have the management icon. Again, you relate to any of your departments that are to do with management. We've got construction here. We've just got the one construction department at the moment, and we have research and development, R&D, which is where we'll be developing our training and skills across the board. So the first player then has to pick in front of one of these tokens which one they're going to go for. So let's say we're probably not going to go for HR because we've just done some initial movement. Yellow, I'm not going to think too hard here, but it is very crucial as to which one you choose, because you've also got to think about which area is going to be triggered, because these are randomly chosen from 8 and they get some good variability on the back. There's variations as well, and these trigger the areas on the board. So 4 main areas. You can see the 4 different colours, and we are going to go for the management option. So yellow's chosen this, and you can see on your card, you place it down. You then go to number 2, the second part of that turn, which is if it was a donation icon. You can see these donations here. Let's say they had gone for R&D. You then activate what's underneath it. So it would have been a chance to donate your money to some of these areas at the top for endgame points, but we haven't done that. We've gone here and we're going to activate instead the west area, because underneath it is west, which is here. So this is a chance for anyone who has a individual, one of their workers out there, to remove as many as you want. You can leave them there, but if you do take, say, 2 workers back from here, you bring them back to your lobby, you would multiply the number of meeples with the type of bonus you're on. So as you progress and you pay more R&D costs, let's say previously yellows had spent 2 R&D to go here. If they hypothetically had a worker there, they could now, because we're activating the event, which is west, they could take that worker back, pop it in the lobby, face down, not face down, lying down, because they're now training, and they get the benefit in terms of the amount of R&D you've put in. So they'd get $3 if they had 2 workers, 2 times the $3. There we are. So you can see the importance of having potentially more workers there. There is a caveat though. If you only, well, if you leave a worker there, that can be beneficial, because on a future turn, if you've got a worker still there, you get the benefit again in terms of this little icon at the end. Now, I'll just recap what that means then. So let's just say we did have 2 workers there. We've gone to west. We're only going to take 1 back. So we're going to get $3. Boom, this goes into our lobby. We also then look at our project tabs on the side here, and any that are revealed, so we haven't actually got any at the moment, but you can see as they go along, you're going to get any of these exclamation marks. So we'd get $1 for any revealed one. If that was revealed, it'd be, you know, $3 from there for that. But we haven't actually moved any of these along the project tab. So at the moment, we're not getting anything. If you did decide to take 2 of these, you'd get $6. And at the moment, we've got no extra benefits from there. But if you did leave it on there on a future turn, let's say we had put some more housing out, you then get to take that one, and you also, one time only, get to do these. So slightly confusing. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a better example as I go through the game. Okay, so west, there's no one there to begin with, so no one is getting the benefit. The next thing we do then is actually activate management. So yellows are first. They're looking at the board. They've got this department and this department, so the only 2 they have got active workers here. Now each department has a spot for a worker, and if there's no cost below it, they can immediately stand up. If there's a cost below it, you have to pay that if they're lying down to be able to, you know, use that worker, and that happens at the end of a turn. So we've already paid all those costs at the beginning of the setup. We are going to pay, or we're not going to pay, we're going to use one of these workers, and there's 2 options on this particular one. We can either leave the worker here and get $3 or 1 cube, and they are very handy for constructing and building extra departments. Or we can send this worker out to a department of our choice. It doesn't have to be West in this case, and we can then get a slight better reward. We can get $6 or 2 cubes, and we're going to do that. Now, what are we thinking about? We can see that potentially East may come up, South. We're looking at this thinking, okay, the West has had 4 chances to come out. South has got 3. At the end here, you can see each area, when it gets to that, it's going to trigger as well. I think we're just going to go for East. So we pop our worker there, and we're going to take $6 rather than the 2 cubes. They can now activate another worker. You can't go to another department, do that, and then come back. So we have to trigger all these. We don't have to do them all, but we are going to do this one, and we're going to leave them there, and we're just going to take a cube. We now go to this department, and this one is all about attaining, if I move my hand, attaining these extra departments. So if you had, at the beginning of the game or during a HR move, moved one of your workers into one of these random spots, it means you get a discount when you build one of these tiles because they're already there, kind of committed to it, and you only pay 1 cube. Or if you hadn't placed an employee there, you have to pay 2 cubes to choose any one of these, and there's no cost to these other than the 2 cubes. So we're going to spend 2 cubes, we'll pop them back in the supply, and we're going to pick one of these tiles. And I won't go through all of them, but they are categorized by those 4 actions we spoke about. And I quite like this one. So this is a management one, and you can see when we place a worker from here, we can either take 3 cubes or $8. So we're going to pop that down there. We've paid our 2 cubes, and we are done. So we've activated this dude. You don't lie them down once you've activated them. You only lie them down if you decide to move them or they've come from the lobby. So we're not going to buy another department. We're going to try and save some of our cubes for now. So we've activated both departments. That is this player done. We go clockwise, which is blues, and blues of the same 2 departments. They are going to start off with this one here. Let's go for something different. Maybe we go for another construction one. And on this particular one, you can see it matches one of these, a couple more spots to be able to construct buildings, which hopefully will give you a chance to show you that one. So we're going to pop that there. We've used this chap. There was no employee already there, so we're having to pay 2 cubes for that one. This particular one, they're going to send one of these employees out, and we'll consider it's their go next. They clearly have, a plan, hopefully. So they're probably thinking, okay, I might go and construct. They have got workers there ready. They've got a couple of cubes. So maybe they're going to go to the south knowing that. And they are going to leave this chap here, and they're going to take $3. Or they're going to take a cube, knowing that they may construct on their next turn. Okay, so they've used their 2 departments. And where are we? So we did the event. We've done the action of the department in this case, which was the management option. We then have a chance to pay to lift up or reactivate these workers. So this chap's in the lobby. There's no cost there because we haven't moved yet, and there's no one to activate there. So you can see a department that has no cost. They can stand up straight away. Some of these are quite pricey, $5 to activate and retrain one of them, and so on. You can at any time spend a cube for $1. So that reminds you. So that is that one done. We pass the player marker over, we take the cog and we move this over to show we've done 1 turn of the 20, and these will gradually move there, and I'll kind of hopefully remember to explain what happens when they get here. So blues are up, and they are they going to go and construct? And construction gives you, it's 2 things you're thinking about construction. Number 1, it's removing cubes from these project tabs, which reveals bonuses, which you're going to attain when you take something back. Every time you take a worker back from the board, all of those revealed bonuses will score once, maximum of once on your turn. But equally, the more cubes and the more infrastructure construction we do on the board, we're trying to make these links, remember, because if we make a link from, say, San Fran to Chicago, so the big cities, so if you go all the way along here, that is, each city has a connection value. So this is worth 2, you can see just below, and this is worth, where are we, Chicago 1. So if you make that connection, that's a connection of a value of 3. So you can see at the end of the game, a connection of 3, dependent on how much research R&D you've done on these areas. So if you left it as it is, you'd get 6 points for that. But if you had developed, this cube into the orange area, orange already starts off with an orange, you're going to get more victory points. So you're aiming to spend R&D to get these cubes into the greens preferably, and the first player to get into the last spot on these areas will get a little, well, quite a nice bonus as well. So that is something we have to think about. I think we're going to go and construct then. So they're going to place this here. It's going to be on the south. So we activate the south first. They do have a worker there. Now, I should add that other people, if they had their workers there, would be able to activate them as well, but in turn order. So blues are going to take this worker back. They pop it lying down in their lobby. And for the benefit, we've only hit level 1 so far, so they're going to get $1 for that. They've got no bonuses revealed as yet, but they're hoping to construct. Now, constructing then, so they've got 2 workers here, and the costs are dependent on the actual type of construction they want to make. So you've got house in here, which is a cube, commercial is a cube, we've got industry, which would be 2 cubes because there's nicer benefits, and we've got some sort of public infrastructure at the top for 2 cubes. Now, blues they started off here in New Orleans, and they're trying to maybe make their way up to Chicago. They can see if they do build in Atlanta, there's 2 victory points at the end of the game. Some spots on the board, these little locations, that gives you no benefit, but it might be quicker to where you want to go. Some of these, like Dallas here, if you do build that, it gives you an instant bonus in that area, and you get to activate where you are. So if they did build here in Dallas, they'd get $1 straight away. You can see by the exclamation mark, but you don't get all these little bonuses here. That's only when you take a worker off. So we are going to have to send this worker out, and we're going to send it to, so we've got these cubes, we've got this commerce, and I think we're going to head to Atlanta. So we're in the south region, so we put our worker in the south here, and we place our cube on Atlanta, matching the commerce symbol, because now we've potentially got some money coming to us every time we bring a worker back. We have to pay the cubes, so the cube cost for building a commerce construction is 1, so we paid that one. We have got 2 cubes left, and we have got another worker here to send out. We're going to send this worker out. It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to, lead off from Atlanta or here. We could decide to go all the way over here and go in San Fran before someone else does. Now, we've got a housing symbol. That's the only token remaining. So where could we go? Maybe we just want a Bagsy, Chicago. So that is in the Midwest. We pop a worker there. We're also looking at the timeline going, okay, is Midwest likely to come out? Because if Midwest is not likely to come out soon, you're not getting that worker for a while. And that worker, you want to work hard, attain the bonuses, bring them back to your lobby, move them around and retrain them in a different department. So you have to be mindful and think ahead of what areas could potentially be activated. So we've gone to the Midwest, and we are building this industry, and it was in Chicago, wasn't it? So the symbol has to match up, and it has to be the area you placed your worker. You couldn't just place your worker there and then build in this Midwest. So they have spent these 2 cubes for that as well, because 2 cubes there. And they've revealed another tab, which will give them a cube every time they bring one of these employees back. So we now get to, well, blues have activated theirs over to yellow. And yellow equally have only got 1 construction site at the moment. They have some cubes, and they are kind of over here, and they're thinking, okay, maybe I want to start building this across. Now, in terms of a 2-player setup, we've already brought out a lot of cubes as a neutral player, so some of these places are really dependent on the card draw. Boston, for example, there's only 1 spot left, and we can see that Chicago's already filling up. Maybe they want to go to Chicago or Midwest. I think East, actually. You can see they're going to be the next player. Maybe they want to go HR. I think they're probably going to go with R&D is what I think. So maybe they want to go to the south. So yellow, they're going to send their worker. Now the icon for sending one of these out is, you can see there's a little meeple figure with kind of a destination and now below. That means you have to send your worker out. Some of the spots you don't have to send the worker out. Like here, you have an option. You can send your worker out to get those benefits, or you don't send your worker out and you get those benefits. So we have to send this out, and we said we're going to the south, aren't we? Which means we have to build in the south. And this is going to be a commerce production. And I think we're going to go in New Orleans, because that is going to be with 3 victory points at the end. And it's one of the major cities we are trying to connect up. And we're going to pay just the 1 cube this time. And that is all the actions they can do, because they've got no other employees in this department, so they can only do it once. So there's a timing element as to when your opponents may be looking at your strength and where your employees are and choosing that action, and you have not got the facilities or the resource to do that at that particular time. So some interesting timing in this game. Okay, so both players have completed the department action. They then get a chance to pay to restand these guys up, and at the moment they're only in the foyer. Okay, so this is going to move over, and where are we? It's now back to yellows. So yellows are first player. And I think they're going to go R&D, because they've sent a lot of employees here. So R&D is this bottom action. Now this time the action, well, the event below it is a donation. So you can see on here it's either a donation or it's one of these income. You attain your income and you get your project up bonuses. So we've gone for a donation. Now donations, you can see the costs here. The first one you place down is $5. The next time you place one down is 10, 15, 20, and so on. And you can only ever score a maximum of 12 apiece. So a brief overview, you can see these are all about scoring points depending on how many of a type of department. So if you have 3 construction departments, you're going to get 9 points there. These ones are all about the construction on the board. So if you've got to level 3 on the green trains here, you're going to get 3 points for each area you've done that. You can see, for industry, 3 points for each token you put out in that area. So where are we? There was one built, wasn't there? Where's it hiding? This one. So if they did go and donate to that, they'd get 3 points for each one of them. These is all about transferring money and cubes at the end of the game, and this one's going to score an extra VP for every employee standing up at the end of the game. And this is based on how many construction cubes you have placed in these particular areas. So $5, can we afford it? And this is starting with the yellow player. This really is a difficult decision, based on your cash flow, really. And they're gonna pay $5. Let's do it. So they spend that to the bank. I should add, you get a little tray here. There's loads of tokens. There's 5 more potential employees you can get out, and they can be attained by, sometimes the project tabs allow that. Sometimes there is particular departments like this one. So every time you place a worker, you're going to gain an extra worker into your lobby, so you can get more flexibility. So where we are putting this one, what do we think we're going to go for? I think we're going to go for the management one. Oh no, it's been held up there. There's already a neutral. Let's go. We can go for an instant 7 VPs. Let's go for this one here. So we're going to score 1 victory point for every single department at the end of the game on our board. Now, the Blues are going to keep some cash about them. They're not going to do this. But on a future turn, if we get to one of these donations, it's going to cost yellow $10 now for the second one. But it's only still going to cost blue 5 because they have yet to place one. So it's your own individual journey with the cost. It's not based on all of everyone's tokens out there. Okay, so they've done the event. And yellows are now going to do R&D. So they've got 3 workers here, and it's plus 3 R&D for each one. So it's a total of 9. And they can spend this R&D either on the project tabs, and you can see this little R&D figure. So to move this one along, it's going to cost us 1. You can also spend your R&D to go up here. Now, bearing in mind they're the first player, they're not quite sure what the next action is going to be. Blues, however, will know. But let's start with yellows, and I think we're going to need some more tokens here. I think we're going to spend 1 there, and you immediately put a token on there. And we're going to spend 2 here. So this is giving us more chances on future construction to build these out on the board. So we've spent 3, we've got 9. I think we're going to go another 1 there. So that is 3, 4 spent so far. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've spent all 9 of our R&D, and there's no more there. So these guys are up, and they are thinking, well, we've only got 2 times the 3, so 6 R&D. Now you can see there's some other departments on here about R&D. If you acquire this one, you get to take your employee on the board, which is great because you get more chances to bring them back and activate them, and you get an additional 7 R&D. 4 R&D on this one, so you may want to consider purchasing them and bring them out onto your organisation. Okay, they have 6. Now they know that they're next. They're probably thinking we're going to do, so they've got R&D themselves. Okay, so they're probably thinking we're going to activate R&D again on their next turn. So you can do this multiple times on the same action. And the next time they do R&D, it's going to be hitting the south. So they're going to spend their 6 R&D on the south. So they're going to go, that's 1 for that, another 3. So they've spent 4. Can't quite hit this one, but they are going to go up 1, 2 on there. So they're going to put tokens on these 2. They're going to go for sort of a bit of a housing strategy. So they've spent their 6 R&D with the knowledge that they're going to do R&D again. Okay, so they've done their action. We now get a chance, everyone get a chance to pay to activate the workers. And still, there's no one back. Okay, so that is moved over. We go to the blue player. They're going to come back to R&D. And they are doing the event now. So we're in the south. So we look at the south and starting at the blues. Are they going to return this employee? Yes, they are. So that goes to the lobby. And for doing so, 1 worker multiplied by the bonus, which they've achieved, they've got to, is $5. So a nice little earner there. And they look at their project tabs and they've revealed a cube. And they have a cube revealed, and they have $2. So they're going to get $2 and a cube from the supply. Great stuff. They need some cubes. Yellows then are, where are we? They equally have someone in the south, so they're only going to get $1. So they bring this back, or they could leave it there if they want. They get the $1, and they look at their project tabs. They have one that has $2 visible, so they're going to get $2 for that as well. So now we activate the departments themselves. Was this a wise move? They're now giving yellows 9 R&D strength as well, but starting with themselves, they got 6, and they probably need to do a bit of work on the construction tab. So they spent 2 for that one, and they're going to spend 3 on that one. So that's a total of 5, and they've got 1 more to spend. Maybe they are going to go up on that one for 1. So 6 spent over to these players. This player, they got 9. Now they know what they may do next time. They have, maybe they're going to do the management one. So looking at the management, the south again. So maybe they're going to go 9. They're going to go 1, another 3 is 4, another 3 is 7. They can't quite get over this one because they need 5. So they've got 2 remaining. And maybe they're just going to spend that 2 there to develop the house, the commerce. Okay, they've spent their 9. We activate employees. Still no one can do that. We bring this along. Over to yellows, who said they are going for management, which will be in the south. So we activate the south. Oh, there's no workers there, actually. That's a bit of a whoops. Okay, well, you can see how you have to think ahead and try and plan these things, because if they had a worker here, they'd now be getting $7 for each worker. Maybe we'll just go HR then. I've kind of demonstrated what management does. HR, they've gone to the east. We'd activate the east. They do have a worker here, so they bring that worker back into the lobby. They're going to get $4 for that one. And we are looking at our project tabs. They're going to get $2 for that one as well. So the blues are getting nothing there. We're then going to do HR. So this, our HR department, we've only got the 1 to begin with, and we have, you get free movement for each one there. And you can see this one, you've always got a minimum of 1 meeple there, 1 employee. So you've always got free movement, but we've got 3 employees there, so we're getting 9. Now what we can do then is we can go 1, 2, leave them lying down. 3, 4, we could maybe move one from here. 5, but because he was trained there, because we move him, he's not trained in this department, so we have to lie them down to say they need training, and you have to pay the cost there. So what did we do? We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got a total of 9. Maybe we were just going to move this one, so that's going to be 6. We could maybe move this one and go 7, 8 and lie them down. So we're potentially planning for some building in the future to get more departments out. And maybe they don't really want to move another one. So they've moved their employees. They've used that particular department. If you did move one of these, say that was, empty and they applied the HR and they moved to here, obviously that worker would have been lying down, so it doesn't add 3 more because it's at the end of the turn when you pay to train them up. Blues then have a tally of 9 as well. Great, they can utilise these employees from their foyer again. So you're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll go 5, 6. Okay, great. We have completed step 3. We're going to now pay to train them up. You don't have to. And I should add that you could have any number of untrained workers on a location. But if you do train them, you have to have, only maximum of 3 on that spot. So these guys are going to pay 0 cost for that training. They're going to have to pay $2 for that one, $2 for that. So that's 4. So $4 spent on training. So that's the cost of moving people around and retraining them in departments. So there's no cost for that one. There's no cost for that one. That's no cost. And these two have a value of $2 each. That's $4 spent on training. And that is HR. So we move this over. Player goes back to blue, and you keep going, folks. You will be going through these actions, making more donations, activating these areas, getting the bonuses on here, trying to make these transportation connections there. Now, when you do finally sort of get to the end, you can see there's a final option to... Let's just show you, someone went HR, they put it here. Not only do you get to do the event for the area, but you also get an ability to do another donation, so it helps out with the donations. But once this area is full, you can still use a HR action. It doesn't mean you've got to the end of the number there. You can still put this here, use a HR action, but you have to move the action below it across. So that will go there instead, and you'll be activating wherever it goes. So, if we kept that's what happened in that case. Let's say on a future event that someone else wanted to go to HR, the next available one to move is this one. So in terms of the 20 rounds, it's still demonstrating how many rounds are left, and you'd then activate the event for the area that goes on. So eventually all these are going to get here. You've reached the end of the game, and what you're going to do is score points for all these areas. And I'll just remind you, so these tokens, which I've not got to hand, and they're not available in the 2-player game, you score 3 points for those. You're going to get 1 point for each standing up worker. So boom, I believe there's 8 or 9 there. You get points for the departments. You can see on the side, it reminds you each row is going to get points there. You are going to get points for these tabs. So some of these tabs, I'll take this top one out. You can see if you do manage to spend all the R&D, these ones in blue are endgame points. These you'll be scoring every time you activate those tabs. So very nice inlays as well. Those go in there. We have points for connections. So I've spoke about this. The more cities you can connect up, the more points you can get if you develop your R&D on these. You've got points for actually being on the cities. So they're all listed here. And finally, your donations. So you'll take this off, score the relevant points up to a maximum of 12 for each donation. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner, folks. There we are. What a fantastic game. Really gives you that ownership of running your business, sending your employees out, where you're going to get the goods, how you're going to spend them in construction, how you're going to make these links up, where you're going to spend your R&D. So loads of good things. There we are. Bye for now.